Hey YouTube, it's Andrew. Today I have a Sky Striker deck profile for you today. It's been a while since I did a deck profile. I believe the last deck profile I did on the channel was on Elemental Heroes. Leave a comment down below if you think I should be doing more deck profiles like this. I would first want to give a huge shout out to my girlfriend Jessie, because she is the main reason why I play Yu-Gi-Oh! To this very day, and the main reason why I play this deck to this very day. It's because she kind of got me to the deck core when it was at its peak price, when Engage was at $100 each. So yeah, I wanted just to give her a quick shout out for that. So I'll start off with the main deck. For the main deck, I will be playing 3 Sky Striker Ace Ray. As Manov would say, Ray is Bay. She is the heart and soul of this deck. Ray has an amazing second ability. When a great Sky Striker Link monster is sent from the field to the graveyard, she can reoccur herself and special summon herself. Yeah, she's just an amazing card. And I remember a time where this card was played at 1 or 2, because Hornet Drone was at 3, and it's kind of hard to believe that 2 years ago that this card was only played at 1 or 2. So for the next card I'll be playing is 2 Sky Striker Ace Rose. There's a lot of different ratios that people play with this card. Some people play this card at 1, some people play this card at 2 or 3. For me, I like it at 2, and the reason why I'm not really maxing this out is because Ray is first of all better, and second of all, Rose is it's kind of meh. You only need her as a starter, and her second ability doesn't really come up nowadays in Master Rule 4.5 or Master Rule 5. It's because there's not that many Link monsters in the extra monster zone nowadays because of, well, of the decks that are being played. The only time that I see it will be applicable is when Dragon Link summons Hieratic Seal in the extra monster zone, or Phantom Knight will summon Bardiche into its zone. But decks like Eldritch doesn't have an extra or any Link monsters that they play, or Dogmatika doesn't really have any Link monsters that they play. So yeah, that's why I'm playing this card at 2. I am running 3 Pot of Desire, so that's why I might be bumping this card up to 3. And it's really important to get your Sky Striker engine going, or your Link monsters going, because it allows you to generate card advantage with these with your Sky Striker cards. We'll see. We'll see in the upcoming format. So for this version, I am playing going second, so I'll be running a lot of hand traps. So for the first few hand traps I'll be playing is 3 Effect Veiler. I believe this hand trap is one of the better hand traps in this today's format. You really need to stop your opponent from making these ridiculous boards and from them to be using their cards effectively. Effect Veiler allows to stop your opponents in a lot of their tracks. Stops a lot of searches from happening, a lot of extenders from being played, because a lot of decks such as PK and Infernal Noble Knights struggle when you Effect Veiler their key cards like Bardiche and Isolde. So yeah, that's why I'm running 3 Effect Veilers. The next hand trap I'll be running is 3 Psyframe Gamma and 1 Driver. When I first started playing Yu-Gi-Oh! 2 years ago, that was when Goki format was running wild and Dark Warrior was running wild. So you had to kind of play this hand trap, and this hand trap was kind of pricey back in the day. It only had really 1 printing. Back in the day, I also didn't really like this card. It was kind of like a hit or miss for me because I kept drawing Driver, which gave me a sour taste in my mouth. But after the 2 years, I started growing some love for this card. This card is actually really, really good, even though Driver is a brick. Again, it's the same application with Effect Veiler. You need Psyframe Gamma in order to mitigate your opponent from making big boards and from making ridiculous negate boards. So yeah, that's why Psyframe Gamma is really good. For the next hand trap, I am playing 3 Nibiru's. I remember when this card first came out, a lot of people didn't really like it in Sky Striker because it shut down a lot of your Sky Striker cards from your spell and trap zone. But in today's format, I believe that the pros outweigh the cons, and there's cards such as Zeke and Area Zero that can get Nibiru off the board, so you can get back into your Sky Striker spell and traps in the spell and trap zone. And this card is really good in keeping combo decks in check. And if you're not really playing against combo in a match or a round, you can just set it out. Nibiru again is a really, really good card. I've also been able to Nibiru people for once in 1 turn and then in the second turn, and Nibiru is just a really good card to keep combo in check. And it punishes your opponent for not if they don't make Appaloosa or try to make Appaloosa before continuing the combos. Okay, so now I'll be going into the spell cards. So for the first few spell cards, I'll be playing 3 Widow Anchors, and thank God this card is back to 3. If it's not engaged, I would love or gladly take the Widow Anchors. Sometimes the third Widow Anchor really does come into play, so that's why I'm happy that Widow Anchor is back at 3. It's just a really good mind control, and it's a really good effect veiler. It is a really good card to bait out your opponents, and it's a really good card to reoccur and take your monster or take your opponent's monsters and swing for game. So I don't think this really needs another explanation, but again, Widow Anchor is a really good card in this deck. So for the other Sky Striker Garnets, I'll be playing 1 Jamming Waves. For Jamming Waves, there's not really that many cards that are being set, or I shouldn't be saying untargetable, but there's not that many cards being set. But if there is, it's really good to have in your deck, or at least in your side deck. So the next card I'll be playing is 1 Hornet Drone. I wish this card was at 3, but at the same time, I wish this card wasn't at 3. If it was only restricted to Sky Strikers, I would love Hornet Drone, because it would allow this deck to be more consistent. But since it's not restricted to Sky Striker alone, it is really problematic for other decks that can utilize this card. This card is just a 1 card Link monster, and you can use the Link monster for Link fodder. And this, since Kagari is a thing, she can just reoccur the Hornet Drone and special summon another Link monster. So that is why Hornet Drone is such a problematic card. The next card I'll be playing is 1 Multi-Role. When this card was at 3, I didn't really like searching this card because it didn't really generate advantage until you already had the advantage. So that's why this card is like kind of a hit or miss for me. When you have it, it's really good because you can reoccur it, but I would never ever search this card. I'd always be searching Shark Cannon, Afterburner, or Widow Anchor. So the next 2 cards I'll be playing is 2 Shark Cannons. I don't play this card at 3 is because there's not that many cards that have a lot of graveyard recyclability. And I guess I'm like kind of a little bit tormented during the Orcus format because they banish for cost. So Afterburn or Shark Cannon doesn't really do much when you banish it. But I'm not running this card at 1 either, is because I am running Pot of Desires, and sometimes the Shark Cannon does come up, so that is why I'm running 2 Shark Cannons. The other Sky Striker card I'm playing is 2 Afterburners. Again, for me, Afterburner is a lot better in this format than Shark Cannon. Afterburner allows you to break your opponent's boards a little bit more easily. You can Afterburner 1 monster, Kagari it, and Afterburner another monster. It's just a really good Sky Striker card. I'm not playing this at 3 is because there are technically better cards to have going second, such as hand traps, and this main deck is a little bit tight for 40 cards. So yeah, that's why I'm running it at 2 instead of 3. And I'm not running this at 1 is because, again, Pot of Desires, I really do sometimes need to see this card in order to break my opponent's board. And the last Sky Striker cards I'll be playing is 2 Area Zero. So the reason why I'm not really playing this at 3 is because this card is really good going second or turn 2, but it's not really good going turn 4, turn 6. It's kind of a dead card going turn 4, turn 6. You only really need this card to get your Sky Striker engine going and trying to get your Link monster out. But besides that, if you were to play a third field spell, why not run Mystic Mine? It just offers you a lot more. It allows you to simplify the game state a little better compared to Area Zero after turns 4 and 6, or after turn 2. So yeah, that's why I'm kind of running this card at 2. It's just because it's really bad during turn 4 and turn 6. So for other spell cards I'll be playing this deck, I am running 3 Pot of Desires. Again, I think this card is mandatory for Sky Strikers. It's because going second, you really need those 2 other cards that the Pot of Desires gives out. And in today's format, it doesn't really last past turn 6, unless if it's a grind matchup, but most of the decks in today's format are combo, such as Inferno Nobles, PKs, and etc. I don't like people when they say the reason why they run 2 is because they don't want to draw into another Pot of Desires. The chance of that is very limited, and I do believe the pros outweigh the cons. You really do need the extra cards in order to break your opponent's boards, because sometimes they will have 5 negates, and just the extra card itself is just you're playing a lot of plus cards, and you're playing a lot of cards that give you advantage going second, so you really do need to see the Pot of Desires. This card is also a really good Ash bait, and it's also a really good negate bait. And yeah, I just love Pot of Desires. This card is just really good. And for Sky Strikers itself, if you can't play the game, or if you don't have a turn to play at all, then you just lose anyways. So you might as well just lose with 2 extra cards instead of losing with no 2 extra cards, sort of thing. So from some of the other cards, I'm playing 1 Terraforming. I think this is kind of self-explanatory. This card gets you a spell into the graveyard and allows you to search for Area 0. I'm playing 2 Cosmic Cyclone just for spell and trap removal. I love this card at 2, I don't like this card at 3. Again, there are more impactful cards in your deck that you'll be playing, and if you just draw the 1 Cosmic Cyclone and one other card, I do believe it's better than drawing 2 Cosmic Cyclones going second. Unless if you're going against a trap deck, but again, there's not really that many trap decks in today's format. I'm playing 1 Regeki. This is kind of a meme card, but also one of the secret decks that I play. I think this card is really good because how I kind of visualize this is that your opponent will set maybe 3 to 5 negates max, and usually 4 cards are able to deal with that, and then you just Regeki and you get rid of their whole board basically. So it's just a really good card in my opinion, and it's just a really good card to bait out negates. And if they can't really negate it, then their board gets wiped, and it's just easier for you to play. And if you're not playing against like a monster spammy board, you can just set it out. I am also playing 1 Rhoda, or Reinforcement of the Army. Again, I think this is kind of self-explanatory. Gets you spell in the grave and allows you to search for Ray. I'm playing 1 Opsop Goblin. In competitive play, you're playing 3 rounds, so if you really do need the life points in certain scenarios, you can just side this out. But yeah, this is just a free spell in the graveyard, and you can draw 1 card. It allows you to thin your deck, and it's just a really good card to get into your graveyard, because you do need some spells into your graveyard. And the last spell card I'm playing in this deck is 1 Pot of Avarice. There is some controversy when you're running this card. Ryan, you kind of said that this card is a brick going turn 2, but I think this card is really good turn 2 or at least turn 4, because if you think about it, you'd be summoning Rei, a Kagari, a Hayate, and a Shizuku at best, so that's already 4 monsters, and then turn 4 you'll be having Kagari or Shizuku again, so that's 5 monsters, and you can just Pot of Avarice during that turn. I do think the card advantage is also important going second, and there are better cards than Pot of Avarice, but I think it's just good to have at 1 at least in your main deck. But again, it's kind of my preference, and I think Pot of Avarice is really good. And for the last 3 cards I'm playing in my main deck, I'm playing 3 Infinite Impermanence. This card is a little pricey, but thanks for Maximum Gold, this card did get a reprint. I think Infinite Impermanence is one of the few traps that should be played in every single deck. It's just a really good card going first or second, and allows a lot of disruption to happen against your opponent. I just think this is just an amazing card, even though it does have a pretty pricey tag, or a pretty price tag onto it. So yeah, that is the main deck. Now I'll be going to the extra deck. So for the extra deck, you would be needing your 2 tokens, 1 for Nibiru and 1 for the Hornet Drone. I am running 3 Kagari. I think this card is self-explanatory. It reoccurs some of your Sky Striker spells in the graveyard. You will need this to bring back Widow Anchor most of the time and Afterburner, and just allows you to just break your opponent's board. That's also why I love playing Sky Strikers, because it's kind of methodical when you play this deck, and it's just a challenge to break people's boards, and I just love that aspect when it comes to Yu-Gi-Oh! Next card I'll be playing is 3 Shizuku. She is a really good card after your end phase, because this allows you to search for Sky Striker cards that you don't have in your graveyard. The next few Sky Striker links I am playing is 3 Hayate, 2 Zeke, and 1 Kaina. So for this ratio, there is a lot of people play different packages when it comes to these 3 cards. Before this deck profile, I used to run Hayate at 2, but after playing a few games with it in today's format, the 3rd Hayate does really come up. Even though the extra deck is really tight, I do believe the third Hayate is important because it allows you to win games a lot of the time. So that's why I bumped it up from 2 to 3. With Zeke, this card I feel is a really good card because sometimes you need to link off the target that you got with Widow Anchor into Zeke so they don't get that monster back. And it really sucked when previously you only had Nightmare Phoenix because you would be stuck with the Nightmare Phoenix and there's no way for you to get back into your Sky Striker Link monsters. So I think this card is really good at 2 because the second Zeke does come up sometimes. It's just really good to pop a card, to swing for 2500, and to banish a card. And the last one, I am playing 1 Kaina. I do not think this card should ever be more than 1. I don't really see an application when it comes more than 1. There are better Link monsters in the for you to put in your extra deck. And in terms of Kaina, you're just really using her for the name and maybe for round 3 in a match. Because, again, for round 3, the more Sky Striker cards you play, you get 100 life points, and every life point matters in round 3. And sometimes it's like you're in a difficult position where you have to use Kaina in order to get into Hayate, Kaina into Kagari, or whatever, because you don't want to use Kagari at that exact moment, or Shizuku at that exact moment. So yeah, that's why I'm playing Kaina at least at 1, because you do really need it for its name, and to link off sometimes. And for the last 3 cards in my extra deck, I'll be playing 1 Phoenix, 1 Unicorn, and 1 Sword. This package is kind of on personal preference. Some packages that people use is the Access Code Celine and Access Code Talker. For me, I like this package a lot better than that package. They're both good packages, but I believe this one gives you a lot more utility when it comes to competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Because Phoenix comes up pretty often because you need to pop a spell. Unicorn is pretty good because it's untargetable removal, and Borosword, even though it's a lot harder to make because you need that one extra monster, I think this one allows you to win games more easily. So yeah, that's why I'm running these 3 cards compared to the Celine, Access Code, and Needle Fiber. I'm also kind of playing towards the next ban list because I think Halifibrax might get banned because it is really making a lot of degenerate decks nowadays. But yeah, that's why I'm running these 3 cards because of the next ban list most likely and just more utility. So yeah, that's it for my Sky Striker deck profile. I really hope you enjoy. Let me know down in the comments if you think that I should be doing more deck profiles like this. I am also doing a Christmas giveaway. I'll be giving away 1 Vivid Voltage ETB or 1 Maximum Gold box. I kind of wanted to do something special for the winter holidays. So yeah, just for you to enter, just leave a comment down below. Just give the video a like and subscribe. I don't usually ask for that often. I actually hate when people do that, but I mean, there's no other way for me to do this without, I guess, without a comment, I guess. So yeah, if you enjoy, please leave a like, and I'll see you soon. Bye.